Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to an unboxing for the Pop Funkoverse Batman set. So this is the first in the line of DC. They listed as DC rather than just Batman, so this is DC set number 1. But it features Batman. So if you want to know more on how to play or what the game is about, go check out my how to play video. I'm not going to go through it all right here. We're just going to jump into what the content is. So there are either expansions, as you can see. So this starts off with 4 of our iconic Bat characters. Of course, we have Batman and Joker. Then we have Batgirl and Harley Quinn. We're gonna run through the different components they have, and then we'll get like the little character cards and the little cool stuff. So the characters are all gonna come. The set's all gonna come with bases. There's usually 2 white ones and then 2 black ones. So it's a good side versus evil side. You can mix and match these however you want. It's basically supposed to be like player A versus player B. So you don't have to. You could play, guys versus girls if you want to. You don't have to do good versus evil. They just have it as a distinction. We're going to slide these guys off to the side a little bit, just so we can look at some of the other components. So, this is the first Funko set that came out. So, it has some actually really interesting stuff in it, which is really cool, but it doesn't have, it kind of sets the standard of what's going to come out for the next couple of sets. Then towards, after a couple of years when they started releasing more, they added more and more content. So you're going to get these exhausted tokens. There's going to be 6 of them. There's going to be 1 for each of our main heroes. Oh, I have a giant glare on there, so you can't even see what you're looking at. There we go. So you're going to get these exhausted tokens. They're going to be just little nose signs just to show that your character's been used. But there are 4 of them for each of your main characters, and then 2 more for your generic characters. So we're going to get a generic henchman token and a generic police officer. And again, they're kind of listed as like white being good, black being bad. Doesn't necessarily have to mean anything. These guys just have the basic abilities in the game. We'll look at their cards a little bit later. The other side is just showing that they're knocked out. Because if you knock out like Batman, you tip them over. So that's just a way to show that. And then you have 2 tokens, 1 for each of them. So there's always going to be a token for every available character in the set. We, of course, are going to get the 6 battle dice. Yeah, this keeps really glaring out bad. So you're going to, of course, have your challenge symbol, your defense symbol, and your triple exclamation for extra damage, or defense symbol. And that'll be every dice. You can see right there, there's 3 sides that are not challenged. So the other 3 is defense, defense, and triple. And then the other 4 sides are all challenged. So you have a high probability of winning a lot of your challenges without having extra special effects. Alright, then we're going to have a bunch of tokens. So you're going to get these purple... Oh, something fell. Not purple. You're going to get... This set's going to have blue, so every Funko set is themed colored. Like this one has blue stuff. Marvel has red. Jurassic Park has... kind of yellow, and it has red, and there's a reason for that. But like, yeah, like Harry Potter has a light blue, and like Rick and Morty has like green, and so on and so forth. Every set kind of gets a little bit distinct color or shade. Not that it matters, because if it's a square, it's a square. It doesn't matter what set it's from. And then on the back side, they're just white ones. It's kind of to show like if the hero or the villain side has used it or captured it. You're also going to get stars with flags on the back, and these are for some of the different modes and scenarios. You will get these 4 crystal or shard tokens. They all have letters on the back, A, B, C, D. These are your different point markers you have to find. And finally, you're going to get the point markers themselves, which these are a nice shade of blue. They're actually really cool looking tokens, or little like shards. They could have just done like counters like everything else, But I'm glad they did these. It really makes the game stand out. And then, of course, a first player token, which has a black and a white side. Alright, so that's all the generic tokens. It'll be in every single game. We are also going to get skill tokens for each character. So, in the bottom corner of every character card, there are dots. For every dot, there is a token. So there's 3 red dots and 3 red dots, 3 gray dots. So we have 3 red tokens, 3 gray tokens, and 2 blue tokens. So it's 1 to represent each one of those dots. And then this set will have some extra little tokens for Joker, which we'll look at when we look at the Joker card. So before we get into the cards, we are going to look at the map and the scenarios. So my camera can't zoom out far enough to look at the entire map. Try to see if I can back her up a little bit so we can get a little bit more view at a time. There we go, maybe. Alright. Might have worked. Alright, we'll have to just kind of do what we can. So, this is the streets of Gotham. There's a couple of buildings. You're going to have your blue borders on this one. Later sets, they changed it to red for some reason. Maybe more like a danger, or maybe it just stands out more. But yeah, there's a couple different buildings. There's like, we'll look a little bit closer at each one. But yeah, it's not as an open map as maybe some of the other ones, because you have like the big city streets, and then you have the buildings in there you can kind of hide and move around. So that's going to change and maneuver different stuff you can do. So we're going to look at... I have to drop this back down, sorry. Otherwise, I can't really view stuff. Alright, we're going to look at these maps a little bit closer. I'm going to zoom back out. Alright, so here we have a construction yard. And I love some of the just the detail on these drawings are really cool. Because they could have made it really generic. But I mean, they have like blueprints and a donut and coffee. Different stuff down there. The wheelbarrow, safety cones. But yeah, there's someone digging up a construction zone. Which leads directly to this bank vault that someone probably just ripped open. So there's a regular bank side, and then on the other side you have a vault door that's been ripped open. There's security lasers everywhere, money, gold bars. So you can see clearly something got ripped open, and then this guy's moving backwards, or he plowed in and he came back out. They dug a hole here, so maybe they escaped that direction. On the other side, we have a jewelry store, which like it's also been broken into. You can see all the broken glass and jewelry. Shattered glass there, so it's really neat little details on this. Some broken glass over here, maybe where someone entered. There's the Batmobile you can kind of play around with. And then finally we have this building that has the bat signal on top. And I do love this, so I love the details of this. So there's like a wall here, you know, walls on the outside of like where some of the building stuff is, or maybe where you can't get down. But you can climb off this roof either using this rope here. You know, it's kind of hard to see. There's a rope there. You can use the fire escape. Or there's a spiral staircase over here. And I like that that's where you can kind of get off this roof at. Like you can't jump off here where there's a gargoyle. You can't just jump off here. You actually have to go down a spot where your character could technically climb down. It's just a neat little detail. I know it doesn't affect the game at all. Movement's just movement, but it's still a neat idea. And then the other side of the map is we have the Joker wheel. So this one is kind of a little bit more open. It has random buildings scattered, little places you can hide behind. Otherwise, the middle is kind of open. So we'll also fold this up and take a little bit closer look at some of those. We have Boppabat, little whack-a-mole with Batman. I have High Striker. Some TNT, which is always nice to have at your amusement park. Knock 'em down, some baseballs, and you can see all the little plushes here. This is the little details I'm loving here. So you have all these little Batmans, some are black, some are the blue ones. You have some giant clay faces, some poison ivies, a killer croc, penguins. Yeah, just neat little details like that. The grenade cornhole. Sounds like a terrible game to be playing, which is why it's broke. The doors are broke down. Ferris wheel. There's this bumper car section here, which is really neat. So you have like the old Adam West Batmobile, the Duck from Batman, the first movie that Penguin rides in. You have a regular car. You have a Joker car because it says "Ha." You have a Catwoman car, which some of these are also based off the toys from like McDonald's or like Hardee's. That little character cars they'd sit in. I just recognize it's kind of what some of them look like. There's like a Mr. Freeze one over here in like a repair shop. Yeah, just definitely some interesting details on these. And then if we flip over to this side, we have a broken carousel, which is a duck, a pony, a unicorn, a haha future fortune teller site, ice cream. We have the Punchline roller coaster, which is all broken. It's probably what the joke is. And the Joker's Funhouse. Which you can see like in here, there's like a chemical lab and all this accessible. There's a funhouse mirrors around the back. Alright, so that's those boards. Let's look at what we can do on them. So we have territory. So if you're playing the Joker's one, you're going to have a territory here. So starting areas up in the corners, objective points, and a scoring area. So winning is always trying to gain the most points. This one you gain one or more of your characters in the scoring area getting around, you gain 1 point. Ignore this when playing with the 2 characters per side. If you have the most characters in the scoring area getting around, gaining an extra point. If you have knocked out a rival, or if you interact with a point marker, which those are almost common ones. Yeah, so the idea is to like try and rush over here, maybe grab these, maybe try and hide in here. But if you're in here, they're going to try and knock you out. So the other one you can do is leaders, which is also a very common one. So you pick a secret leader. Basically, you gain more points. The higher you knock out. So if your leader knocks out your opponent's leader, it's 4 points. If your ally knocks out their leader, it's 3 points. If your leader just knocks out a rival, if it's not the leader, you gain 2. If your ally knocks out a rival, you gain 1. And you can interact with points. So then this is showing what you can start your leaders there. So you know which ones are your leaders. Different stuff like that. It's actually kind of neat to sort of run around and then just fight. So actually you can do it the Joker's Wild side. Let's flip her over to the Arkham map. So we have control. So this gives you 2 different starting areas, some control spots. So if any control markers show your color at the end of the round, gain 1 point. Ignore this when playing with 2 characters per side. If you have the most control markers showing at the end of the round, gain a point. If you knock out a rival, or if you interact with a point. So you're gonna have the 3 little like squares here in these control areas, and when you control it, you flip it to your color. So if you're the black character, it's black. If you're the white character, it's white. And you gain more points by trying to do it. But you're going to have to run back and forth. But being that these are buildings, is like you're going to have to try and sneak around into there, sneak back out. And when you're in there, you can try and interact with these other points. It's kind of a fun little mode. And then finally, we have flag, which is basically like capture the flag. If your character returns to your starting area, you gain 2 points. If you knock out a rival, 1 if you interact with points. So I always put these extra points in here. just to give you something else to do other than just exclusively trying to do it. But what you want to try and do is get the other opponent's flag somewhere in there. And then it's kind of like a control type game with that. Alright, so that is the Batman board and scenarios. Now let's look at the characters themselves a little bit closer and their cards. So we're going to just quickly look at the two generic ones. We have the Henchman and the Police Officer, which are going to have the generic, regular, standard moves of move, challenge, assist, interact, and rally. So every character has an ability. These are basically, so if you want to play a 3-player match, you can have like Batman, Batgirl, and the Police Officer, and then the other two can, Joker, Harley Quinn, can have the Henchman. That way you can play 3-on-3, until you buy some more characters. And again, it doesn't have to be DC characters. You could buy, any other set. Or additionally, if you're playing a different mode and you're trying to do 4 players, you might have these 4 characters and you might have bought another 2-player set. Like, let's say you bought the next DC set that's Robin and Catwoman. You wanted to play 4 players doing a match, making your own game up or using a different board. But you wanted to only use DC characters. You could always use, these two. Like, each person could get one of these characters plus one of the other characters, and then use these guys to fill in. That's all they're for. They're just filler characters. Okay, so we have good old Batman here. The Dark Knight. The Caped Crusader. This is a more classic version with the blue rather than like the dark blacks. Oh, and his base fell off. Alright, so Batman is going to have 3 abilities here. He's going to have Grappling Swing, which is a challenge, which is that little starburst means. Choose a rival within 3 squares of the Batman can see and place Batman adjacent to them. Do a challenge 2. He has POW, which he just does a challenge 3, and says relentless. Batman can do this when knocked down. You can stand him back up. So that's kind of cool. You can just spend 1 token to stand back up. Then he has Caped Crusader. When Batman is adjacent to 2 or more rivals, his defense is increased by 1. As far as I know, everyone always has 2. There might be an exception to that. So before we jump to the next character, we're going to look at items that you can get. So these are little items you can give your characters to boost up. So if you're ever playing with them, you're supposed to have an even amount on either side. So most games come with 2 each. That way one for each side. So we have this little tiny Batarang, which you can put in Batman's hand. This doesn't have to be used with Batman. You can give it to Batgirl. You can give it to Joker. You can give it to, Captain America and Harry Potter. That's what's nice about this game is these cards, everything's mixable. So the Batarang does 2 challenge. It says range 2, do a challenge 2. Do a challenge 2 to a rival adjacent target to the first. So hits 1, goes to the other. Then this little 2 symbol means you're going to put it on the cooldown meter, which I actually forgot to show. There's so much to these. There's so many pieces on these games. I forgot to pull these out. So let me see if I can find Batman's. There it is. These are your cooldown trackers, so every character, every game will have 2 of these, 1 for each player. So this when you use your various skill abilities, you put it on there and it moves it down. Or if you play this Batarang, you put it on number 2, which is number 2, and then slowly it'll be usable again. And that's how you don't abuse abilities on your cards, because you can only use them so many times. Alright, so now let's look at Batgirl. Let's look at our other hero for the set. So this set actually does something really neat, though, which I did like, was since there's two items, like, that makes you kind of thematically go with the characters, the other two characters get other things to go with them to try and maybe even it out. So it's not just two characters get items you can give, you know, kind of neat. So here we have Batgirl, who has Flying Tackle. Move up to 3 squares towards your rival. If Batgirl ends this move adjacent to them, challenge them. Roll a number of dice equal to the squares moved in this action. So the farther she can go, the better. Flip Kick, challenge 2, move 1, and gather intel. Move 1, then give up to 2 allies an intel status card. We'll look at that in just a second. Her other ability is 1 step ahead. If Batgirl is standing, she may move 1 square at the start of her turn. So she has lots of little movement abilities. And this is her classic purple and yellow costume. Alright, so instead of maybe giving her the Batarang, she gets these status cards. And they'll backwards, they say status, and they'll say who they're for. So she gets 2 that are the same. Some characters will have 1, some will have multiple. They're different. But hers says decrease the ability cost by 1. Discard the status when the character becomes exhausted. So when she does gather intel, she gets to move 1 and give up to 2 allies an intel status card. So she can help out 2 other allies by decreasing their cost of their abilities by 1. Which I'm assuming is possibly to a minimum of 1. It might actually be able to be free. I don't think it can be free though, but that'd probably be in the rule books. Discard this when a character becomes exhausted. So once you use it, then it goes back. So you don't get to constantly use it over and over. But I mean, if you threw that with Batman, if she was allied with Batman, it would make his grappling swing only cost 2, and his power only cost 1, and potentially his relentless cost nothing. Let's see if it says in here. Tokens towards here, not shown. Decreasing the ability cost. A rule might decrease the cost of an ability. When that happens, place a number. If the cost is decreased below 1, the ability no longer... A token is no longer required to use the ability. Yeah, so she can make his relentless free if she needs to. Which is really cool, because what that means is if Batman used POW and his counter's on his meter, and she gave him an intel, he could still use relentless if he needed to. So it's actually a really cool combo. Alright. Up next, we're going to look at the Joker. Again, more classic Joker. Versus like the Heath Ledger or Jared Leto Jokers from the currenter movies. I say currenter because I guess some are getting kind of old. So he has Mystery Box. Move 2, place a Mystery Box token with an empty square. The Joker can see it in 2 spaces. Do a challenge 4 to the first rival entering a Mystery Box square and remove it. So he's going to get 4 of these tokens. And they have a black side and a white side. I don't know if it matters which side you have up. It might just be a team ability. So if he's on the black team, use the black side. If he's on the white, use the white. So that way you know if rival stepping on it or not. Otherwise they're the same on either side. He has Bang, remove 1 or more Mystery Box tokens from the map, do a challenge 3 to rivals adjacent to it. So the one you can place them, and then if they land in there you can do a challenge to them. The other one you can basically blow them up prematurely and do some damage to characters around it. And you have Joy Buzzer. Challenge 3, the target must be standing. He can do a challenge 3, but he can't do it to knock someone out. Or, yeah, knock them out. He can knock them down, but not knock them out. And his special ability is Last Laugh. When the Joker is knocked out, place a mystery box token in his square. To the challenge part of the first rival entering the mystery box square, then remove it. So he gets to play around with the mystery box tokens a lot. It's just kind of his neat little thing. And then finally we have good old Harley Quinzel in her jester outfit. Like Batman the Animated Series almost. I'm not sure she came from. So Whirlwind, do a basic challenge for each adjacent rival. Faint Distress, choose a standing rival Harley can see, roll 3 dice. For each success, pull the target 1 square. That's kind of helpful. You can get them near, maybe pull them away from Joker, or get them closer and so you can Whirlwind them next. Out of my way, moving adjacent rival 1 square, move Harley up to 2 squares. Again, either move away or get closer. Her special is I'm Rubber, You're Glue. When Harley stands up, she may do a basic challenge. So if she jumps back up, she's going to smack someone right away. And then she can wield her mallet. So if we give her her mallet, slide that in there. Now she's ready to bash some bats. So the mallet says when this character is a basic challenge, count 1 shield as a hit. So now, unlike the Batarang, which has a cost of 2, the hammer doesn't. It's just any time she does that, she gets to use it. So again, this could be great for whatever character you want to use it with. You could give it to Batgirl or Batman or whoever. I mean, conceivably, it's not in the rule books, but you can always make rules that say if a character is holding an item and gets knocked out, they drop their item, and then someone else could pick it up. That might add some interesting fun to the game. But again, that's not in the rule books. Alright, so then that is all I have for the Funkoverse DC Universe Set 1, which is the Batman and Joker theme set. Check out